The APMCDRR 2024 will provide an important opportunity to share innovative solutions and demonstrate our shared commitment and unity of purpose to accelerate risk reduction actions and enable transformative societal change towards resilience. It is now my pleasure to introduce the Special Representative of the United Nations Secretary-General for Disaster Risk Reduction and Head of UNDRR, His Excellency Kamal Kishore.
Your Excellency President Marcos Jr., First Lady, Secretary Manalo, Secretary Teodoro, Secretary Loizaga, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It's really a great privilege for me to be here this evening, and I extend my deepest gratitude to Your Excellency, President Marcos, for graciously hosting this reception at the Asia-Pacific Ministerial Conference for Disaster Risk Reduction. This reception becomes even more special given that yesterday we marked the International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction, which is a day designated by the United Nations General Assembly to remind all of us, to remind humanity that natural hazards may be inevitable, but they turn into disasters is not inevitable. It is within our agency to make sure that they do not cause loss of lives, loss of livelihoods. And on this occasion, for this conference, there is truly no other place in the world where I would want to be than in the Philippines. This morning somebody asked me, how would you characterize Philippines' work in the area of disaster risk reduction? And only one word came to my mind of disaster risk reduction. And only one word came to my mind, lighthouse. It's a lighthouse which will give inspiration to countries not just in Asia-Pacific, but beyond Asia-Pacific to across the world. And why do I call it as lighthouse? Everyone talks about its vulnerability. I want to talk about its agency. I want to talk about its innovation. I want to talk about its new imagination. In your remarks, at least 7 times you said people, community. All the work the policy wonks do, the technical experts do, has to all come together at the level of communities. This recognition is nowhere more vibrant than in the Philippines. The second thing why Philippines is lighthouse. You work across sectors. It's an all-of-government approach. Secretaries from at least 3 departments are present here, and we have collaborated with half a dozen more. So it's not pigeonholed in just one area, but it's everybody's business. The third, civil society engagement. Earlier today, we had a program at one of the malls where we interacted with children. And the level of awareness and enthusiasm that they have, it's just infectious. When you meet those children, you feel so hopeful about the future of not just us, but generations to come. So let me now turn over to expressing gratitude also to our colleagues, particularly the leadership of Secretary Teodoro and Secretary Loizaga. They are the co-chairs of this ministerial conference, and their teams have been just wonderful to work with. We are very grateful for that. And of course, all of you from Asia-Pacific who've joined us at this conference, you are the key actors. We've got only 5 years remaining in the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction. We have to increase financing. We have to increase inclusion. We have to make sure that our efforts get localized, just as they are getting localized in Philippines. We have only 5 years. Let's seize the moment. Let APMCDRR Manila be remembered as an inflection point where everything changed, and suddenly we began to work on issues related to implementation of Sendai Framework with another level of urgency. Thank you very much, and I look forward to working with you.
Thank you very much, His Excellency Kamal Kishore. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Republic of the Philippines, His Excellency Ferdinand R. Marcos, Jr.
Thank you very much to our DNR, Department of Environment and Natural Resources Secretary Maritoni Yulo Loizaga, for your kind introduction. Foreign Affairs Secretary Ricky Manalo, our Secretary of National Defense, Secretary Gilbert Teodoro, the Assistant Secretary General and Special Representative of the Secretary General for Disaster Risk Reduction and Head of the UN Office for Disaster Risk Reduction, His Excellency Kamal Kishore. And may I congratulate you. Your message was very well received, and it was you have been able to encapsulate so much of our thinking. And as you say now, is how to bring it down to the local communities and to our people. His Excellency Yuduk Singabyo Sr., Palau Vice President and Minister of Justice. I hope I didn't murder your name too much. His Excellency Sanbuyan Amarskaikan, Deputy Minister of Mongolia. His Excellency Dato Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi, the Deputy Prime Minister of Malaysia. Senators Lauren Legarda, Cynthia Villar, and fellow workers in government. Of course, you met earlier the First Lady Lisa Araneta. The ministers and delegates of the Asia-Pacific Ministerial Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction, the honorable members of the Diplomatic Corps, our key development partners and stakeholders. We have members of the private sector and the civil society. Other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you as we gather here in Manila for the 2024 Asia-Pacific Ministerial Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction. It is an honor for the Philippines to host this gathering of experts, scientists, policymakers, practitioners, bound together by a common purpose. For many years, the Philippines has stood on the front line of the climate crisis. Our geographical location exposes us to hazards such as typhoons, earthquakes, tsunamis, and volcanic eruptions. Each of these challenges has tested the resilience of every Filipino and the strength of our spirit as a nation, as of course it has done to your countries as well. Yes, yet it is through these very trials that we have become more resolute and resolved in advancing data-driven and sustainable solutions to protect the well-being of all our people. This conference comes at a time when our work to implement the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction is more urgent than ever. Here we can learn from each other, strengthen partnerships, identify innovative ideas, and adopt best practices. Our vision is clear: to reduce disaster risks and losses, and in doing so, protect lives, livelihoods, and the social and economic assets that underpin our societies. At the heart of all our efforts is climate change, an issue that we have integrated in our national and regional policies. From investment strategies to policy implementation, disaster risk reduction and climate change adaptation and mitigation are now central to how we shape our future. I think it would not be an exaggeration to say that amongst the government workers, whenever there is a discussion or a planning session, there is no longer even a single conversation that we have that does not include an aspect of adaptation, mitigation to climate change. That is how primordial it has become in our everyday lives. However, the increasing frequency and severity of national hazards call for deeper innovation, for closer cooperation, and for sustained commitment from all of us. Through this conference, we are presented with the opportunity to explore new avenues of collaboration, especially in leveraging science and technology to alleviate the impact of climate change and ensuring that disaster risk reduction financing is accessible to all. By harmonizing all of our efforts, I trust we can build an Asia-Pacific region that is truly adaptive, inclusive, resilient, and sustainable. To the future that we are shaping through this conference, and I invite you, everyone, to join me for a toast. In pursuit of mitigating disaster risks, where nations rise above adversity, here is to best practices and the lasting and deeper friendship among our country and our people towards a sustainable future where no one is left behind. Cheers. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thank you, Mr. President. Excellencies, distinguished guests,